I'll call this meeting of the Waushara County Board of Adjustments to order. This meeting will begin with a public hearing. Anyone other than the applicant or their representative wishing to speak must register and submit the registration slip to the zoning administrator at this time. Following the public hearing, the board will conduct its monthly business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications. You may stay for the meeting and hear how the applications are decided, or you may leave following the public hearing. The applicant and the town board will be sent a copy of tonight's decision. Any other person wishing to receive a copy of a decision can sign the sheet at the table in the front of the room. Those wishing immediate knowledge of the outcome of these proceedings may call the county zoning office tomorrow morning. The procedure we will follow for hearing each application is: after the application is read, the applicant, their agent, or representative will have an opportunity to present their application, followed by any questions or comments from the board. Then all correspondence will be read. Then others in favor will have a chance to speak. Anyone objecting will then have a chance to speak. I will then ask for a summary of the board's field observations and any staff comments. Finally, the applicant will be allowed a chance for a brief rebuttal if they wish. Anyone wishing to speak should use the microphone at the front of the room, state their name, and direct their comments to the board. I ask that all testimony be kept brief, no more than 5 minutes, and to the point. If you are testifying as a nearby landowner, please tell us where your property is located relative to the subject property. Tonight's hearing will be recorded, and the recordings will become part of the record. Comments that are based on hearsay or secondhand information, as well as slanderous or prejudicial remarks, will be ruled out of order. The board has looked at all of the properties, and the record will reflect these observations. Any person affected from an administrative decision of this board has 30 days from the filing of tonight's decision to make an appeal. Such appeals shall be heard by the Waushara County Circuit Court. Information is available from the Clerk of Court's office and qualified legal counsel. The county assumes no liability and makes no warranty as to the legality of any construction commenced prior to the expiration of this 30-day period. I'll introduce the rest of the board. To my left are Larry Tim, Kevin Fitzgerald, John Benz, Dave Williams. My name is Roger Wagner, Cherry Paukstad, zoning administrator, seated to my right. First variance to be considered tonight, Povoltis Trust, Rockton, Illinois, has made an application for a variance in accordance with section 58-542, paragraph C, paragraph 2, and 58-823, paragraph C, paragraph 2 of the Waushara County Zoning Code to construct a 18 by 40 single-family dwelling with a 28 by 40 single-family dwelling with a 28 by 20 attached garage and a 12 by 28 attached deck, existing single-family dwelling and detached garage to be raised, coming to within 9 feet of the westerly and 11 feet of the easterly side lot lines. 15-foot setback required on an existing non-conforming lot, non-conforming due to lot width, in the RS-20 single-family residential zone within the shoreland area. Location: a parcel of land known as lot number 9 of the FW plat of Pleasant Lake Summer Resort, and adjacent parcel being part of government lot 5 and part of the northeast 1/4 of the southeast 1/4, section 33, Town of Coloma, Pleasant Lake, W13435 Bluegill Lane. Is the applicant or representative present? Come forward, please, and state your name.
My name is Jess Johnson.
Okay. And you are?
I am the contractor.
Okay. What do you have to tell us about the project?
Well, the Povolitises were originally looking to put an addition on, but if you guys were out and saw the property, in my estimation, they should have something a little better. You got cinder blocks and stuff that one's built on. So they decided that they'd like to build a new house. They want to retire up here in a couple of years, and so basically we know that it's a narrow lot, and you know that we had to get a variance because of that. but they would like to have something that's, you know, just an average size house for the area, which is 28 by 40 with an attached garage, and the buildings that are there, like he was mentioned, will be removed, and the building that is going to be placed in, projected at that size, would actually be further away from the lot line on one side and a little closer on the other, and the setback from the road would actually be further than the building that's there now, even though it would be inside the setback code. So they're just looking to have a nice little place to retire, and they didn't want to affect the neighbors in any way going forward. Obstructing view, we talked about that, and they'd like to also keep their septic system that's there right now, because it does pass, and they can keep that. So.
Okay, just some general questions then for the record. Has there been a recent survey out there?
Yes, it was done by Career Land Surveying on 10/5 of 2012, and I have that with me.
Okay. And all the corners are identified, and we're sure of the lot lines then?
Correct. All the stakes are in. I had the ones that were near the house marked, so the rods are in there, and some of them were covered with plastic covers so the kids don't get hurt.
Have you talked to the neighbors, Lake District and Town Board about the project?
Pulvolitis is where they said they called the majority of their neighbors and made the proper calls to the town boards and stuff. So.
In other words, everything out there is going to be gone, and you're starting over.
Correct.
And a full basement, or what type foundation?
Well, we would like to go with a full basement. I had the excavator out there. We met 3 doors down. They do have a full basement. So we were looking at the grade, and it just depends on, we might be able to get a 7-foot basement in. It depends. He was reading the perk test, and we think we can get a full basement. If not, they would like to do a crawl space. So they're worried about storms, you know, so they have a place to go, but they'd like to do a full basement.
Okay, so really you don't know how far above existing grade you're going to set the new home then?
By what we looked at, because the road is actually higher and it gradually comes down, that garage would have to be set close to the ground level that's there, and then there will be a little pitch. So it'd probably be roughly around 2 to maybe 3 feet, if that, but probably we're right around 2 feet above grade where it is right now.
On the lakeside, you mean?
Yes, yes. Which should have a deck on the whole front end anyway, so we're looking at, you know, where it is, and then there's a deck going out, so that drops even more. But
You're not planning a walkout basement then or anything?
No.
And approximate finished height of the home?
Well, the approximate finished height of the home, if you obviously don't have a walkout basement, would be, what do they have figured there? Well, if it's a 12, they haven't decided on the pitch of the roof or anything, but if it's a 12, you got 14 feet and then 9, plus your 2 foot of your, you know, raised elevation, so you're looking at 25 feet.
Do you have a plan to deal with stormwater runoff and possible erosion there?
Not as of yet. I know that we've in the past had to plant vegetation and or go with different types of sewer stone with off your gutter systems and things like that. So they're open to doing whatever needs to be done so that they don't affect the neighbors in a bad way.
Okay. Any other improvements planned at this time besides the home and the garage?
Nope.
And all other setbacks will be met, right?
Yeah, the only other setback that we have question on is, like I say, off the road to the garage.
You mentioned you were going to use the existing septic system?
Correct.
Is that fairly new, or?
Kyle and I looked at that. It's 1983. It's rated for a 2-bedroom home, and so he said that you just need to get an affidavit for an undersized septic if they did go with a 2-bedroom with a loft or a 3-bedroom home. But yes, it does pass.
And have you given any thought to revegetating the shoreline?
they have given thought to that, so, I mean, they're aware that that might be something that they have to do.
What hardships or unique property limitations would support this variance? You know, it's just a very narrow lot.
Right, it's a very narrow lot, and, setback from the center line of the road would be 28 feet if we have it right where I have it mapped out at now. For the new structure, the garage that exists is 21 feet, and the neighbor's garage, I believe, to the east, we figured at 22 feet off the center line. So we'd still be back further than the existing one that's there and, one of the neighbors to the east.
If an approval were granted, is this a summer construction plan, or?
Yeah, we would probably start this fall. They would like to do it probably this fall so they could enjoy this one more summer while they're working before they move up here full-time. So they would like to do it in the fall.
Okay. Any other committee questions?
This septic system clean out, where is that compared to where the new deck will be?
Well, the septic system cleanout would be, I believe it's 128 inches from that vent pipe, 6 inches past, so that would be 6 inches inside of that, so I don't know.
They'll be able to get at
About
it.
100 inches from that.
They'll be able to get at it, to clean it out.
Yeah, if we do what we're projecting right now, then the actual deck will start 5 feet back from the septic. The only thing they had a question on is if they could put the house kind of where the one is now, and then either not have their deck all the way across the house so that they don't interfere with the septic, or span that across the corner so that they can still get to the clean out. And that would have to be done kind of as before we go. But
On our drawing here, we have a proposed fireplace. Do we know where it's going?
we don't have a final plan because they don't want to spend the money on a final plan. But Terry and I had talked about we put it on the west side because that's kind of what the plan I have says to do, is put it on the west, on that side of the building. But
How far does that stick out?
that sticks out 2 feet according to what we planned. So the main structure would be 28 feet, and then there'd be a 2-foot bump out there.
Would that be all the way to the ground, or would it be like about a foot above the ground? Would it be gas or wood, or?
It depends on
Really?
what decision they make. They haven't really decided that yet. And you know what? The fireplace could always be framed in on the inside too, being that if they get a 28-foot, if they're allowed 28 feet, they could box that in and have a fireplace on the inside. It was just something that they would like.
It was written up as 9 feet to the west, though, and 11 feet to the east,
Right.
counting for that fireplace
Yes.
sticking out 2 feet.
Which the fireplace was completely under the overhang then anyways, the 2-foot overhang?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Any more questions?
To be commended for doing a nice job
I
of
was concerned
marketing.
about the possibility of erosion. I see there was a lot of water apparently been flowing down from the street to the north there, near the corner of the garage there. And where's this water gonna go if you build a house there?
Well, I guess that's something we'd have to go over with the excavators and talk about how we're going to drain that water, or if we have to put sewer stone in there and have that drain into I guess I haven't given that any thought as far as, from my standpoint, because I know that we have to have our garage set in a little bit of elevation because we don't want that water flowing right into their garage door or ice building up there. So
That's
there
what I was
has to be something that pitches it back, and then we get it maybe shed both ways, and then maybe some vegetation planted on both sides so there isn't any erosion. I mean, we usually work with zoning on that, or the homeowners in zoning and things like that. So
It's kind of like a bowl, and everything kind of comes down that corner there.
But the new garage is gonna be in that area.
Yeah, that old cottage is right there too, where the water's been running.
Gonna have a few more feet to deal with it now being back in
yeah, we'll be back. I think it's 7 feet from what's there right now, so that will give
I
us a
think
little
some
bit
of
more
that
room to deal with
road
it.
is gonna delegate the height of the garage floor. Is gonna kind of play some
Right.
of the cards for you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I guess you can have a chair. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Correspondence?
Oh, that's me, yes. I'm awake tonight. I received an email from the DNR, and this will actually pertain to the next variance too. And he was short and sweet, and I thanked him very much for that. It came from Dale Rozabek of the Wisconsin DNR, and it says, "The department has no comments or recommendations regarding the Povolitis Trust property variance request and the Fuchs property variance request to be heard at the Board of Adjustment hearing on July 17th because both projects are not located within the 75-foot setback from the ordinary high water mark. Please note that these comments are in regard to shoreline zoning only and do not reflect applicable erosion control, waterway permitting, or other department regulations. Please contact me if you have any questions." And again, that's thanks Dale Rozabek, Regional Shoreline Specialist. That's it on this one.
Okay, we have registered to speak in favor, Rita Giles.
Well, you've said my name.
How do
Rita
you spell- How
Giles.
do you spell your name?
Pardon?
How do you spell your name?
Giles. Rita.
Okay, what do you have to tell us?
We've been neighbors for the Povolitises for 30 years. They've been wonderful neighbors and take excellent care of their property. Our beachfront, which consists of 13 cottages and a shared beach, adjoins theirs. And they have always been very cooperative and considerate with our group as we have with them. In building a new place, I know they would do everything possible not to obstruct the view of the neighbors. And building a new place would also be an asset because everything would be up to code when they build. And the tax base would result in more revenue. And if the Povolitises live here permanently, they would be a boost, I feel, to the local economy. If we can get Illinois people to move to Wisconsin and help pay our bills here, I think that's also an asset.
Rita, where are you located from the project itself?
Yeah, I was afraid you were going to ask me that because I don't know feet in yards. I don't know my husband.
I mean, are you
We got a letter as a neighbor.
one house, two houses, three?
They're on the first row, we're on the second row.
You're over here.
Okay.
So as far as feet, I was trying to think, are we a football field, less than a football field?
Okay.
But your property is part of the Clearview Incorporated Beach? Is
Seaview.
it Seaview, I'm sorry. I always think of it as Clearview, but I know it's Seaview.
Well, it is clear, the water.
Okay. You're not an affected neighbor then?
Except for the beach that is in
The
common
beach that we
ownership
adjoin
with
with
many of
them,
these
yes,
backlots.
yes.
Okay.
You're on Third Court.
We're on Third Court. We have two places side by side, North 253 and North 257 Third Court. And
Anything
just
else?
wanted to speak in favor of them,
Okay.
favor of a building for them.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If Wisconsin Green, bring money.
I'll bet you Ronald has the same opinion you do, correct? Yes. Not to speak, but you're in favor of it. Okay. No one registered to object to it. Staff comments?
For the record, the board has previously been furnished with a copy of the site plan and all the other data that was submitted for this application and the other one that they're going to consider tonight. They also visited both properties and viewed the proposals and their location on site. I'd like to explain a little bit about variances. Variances ask for a relaxation of a dimensional standard in the code. The decision to grant a variance must be backed by substantive reasons, which include an unnecessary hardship is being caused by the code requirement. There are unique limitations on the property that prevent the landowner from meeting the required dimensional standards. And finally, if the variance is granted, no harm will be done to the public interest or the zoning code. It's the applicant's responsibility to present their case and provide that burden of proof as to why the variance should be granted. The personal situation of the applicant, financial hardship, nearby violations, any of those things cannot be considered as valid reasons to grant a variance. When the board visited the property, they noted that the site was well staked and that the only non-conforming structures were the existing home and garage that are slated to be removed. They also noted that there appears to be some stormwater coming from the road to the north, and although this has little chance of reaching the lake itself, the landowner might want to work with land conservation to contain and/or control this water before it reaches the new home and attached garage. They also noted there is little vegetation along the shoreline, but that the lot is very narrow at the lake. It actually narrows down from the width that it is at the building site to the lake. And they also noted that the construction is proposed to be well back from the shoreline and in line with the other structures there. That's pretty much it for my comments. I don't have anything else.
I think we should also note that by removing the buildings, the back building, that it is partially on the other lot already, and that will clear up a potential problem in the future.
The next variance to be considered, James Fuchs, Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, has made an application for a variance in accordance with section 58-542, paragraph C and paragraph 2, and 58-823, paragraph C and paragraph 2 of the Washera County zoning code to construct a 29 by 34-foot, one-story single-family dwelling with a walkout basement and a 10 by 29 covered porch. Existing single-family dwelling be raised, coming to within 7.5 feet of both the easterly and westerly side lot lines. 15-foot setback required on an existing non-conforming lot, non-conforming due to lot width in the RS-20 single-family residential zone within the shoreline area. Location, a parcel of land known as Lot Number 10 of the unrecorded plat of Tomorrow Woods, being part of Government Lot 5 and part of the northwest one quarter, the southwest one quarter, Section 18, Town of Deerfield, Fish Lake, W 12042 South Fish Lake Road. Is the applicant present? Come forward, please. State your name for the record.
My name is James Fuchs.
Okay, James, anything you'd like to add at this time, or?
Well, my wife's here with me too, so my wife and I guess from what you started with, we bought the property back in like '95. I think if you were out there, you probably saw it. It's one of the probably oldest ones out there. Probably was a Taj Mahal at the time, but it's lived its life, I think. And really the characteristics of the lot make it difficult to build something that's not going to have a side setback requirement. The current one existing there actually is like 6 feet off on one side and 11 on the other because of the way they're turned, because the lots don't run parallel to the way the buildings are currently. So we're looking to remove that and put in something not huge, but something that we can actually use and bring it up to current codes and everything else that would make it usable for us and our family.
Okay.
I think it's more the characteristics of the lot that is the problem we've run into.
Okay. Have you had a recent survey, and are the lot lines identified?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Survey was done by Pat Creer. For the land
And
survey.
recently?
Yes. I actually have a copy. If you didn't have a copy, he was just out there probably in the last couple of days and remarked and flagged and staked stuff, so.
June 17th of 2014.
Okay. And have you talked with your neighbors, Lake District and Town Board about the project?
Talked to the neighbors. Some of those are on the Lake District and related. I mean, the neighbors by us have been waiting for a lot of years for us to do something. When we bought it 19 years ago, they were hoping they were going to buy both of these existing ones and take them out and put a new one in. Well, that didn't happen until we're trying now. So,
Okay.
but yeah, our two immediately adjacent neighbors are the ones that we've been talking with most.
They have no problem with it?
No problem with it. I haven't heard anybody have any issues with it. So,
Are you planning on removing any other structure other than the old cottage?
and that's the only structure there, other than there was a old well pit that was on site there, covered with a wood cover. I mean, it's a down pit that'll get filled at the time when we do the structure.
When was the boathouse and the lakeside walkway and decking constructed? I'm guessing around 12 years ago.
boathouse was. The stairs were built probably the year or two after we moved in. That was a project in itself. But the boathouse came, I think, a year or two after that.
What type of foundation will the new home be on,
A poured foundation
the walkout basement?
with a walkout.
And how far above existing grade will the first floor elevation be?
Approximately 2.5 feet. We actually got quite a bit of slope coming from back to front, and we want to get some of that level, because right now everything's flowing right against the siding, and we need to raise that up a bit. Plus, the entry is going to change from what was on the side to the back, so the road side.
You're not looking at raising it a great deal then?
No. I think the current one is probably about 1.5 feet up. I think we're talking only adding maybe 1 foot to 1.5 feet more.
Okay.
Want to make it sufficient to do the walkout, which when we looked at the survey he did, we probably had about a 5-foot slope. Bringing up the other two will give us that, and we can do what we need to right in the front to bring it down below the deck to get the walkout.
And approximately what will the finished height of the home be?
I don't have the exact heights that he referenced, but he staked out the corners at 97.5 and 97.16, so probably right around 100.
How do you plan on dealing with stormwater runoff and potential erosion?
During construction, there'll be a silt fence placed at the front end of it and the side, so it doesn't disturb the neighboring property, but the front is to keep it from flowing down the hill. There's not a lot of vegetation on our specific parcel, just a lot of sand and pine needles. Really hasn't been an ability to grow anything. Part of the requirement we're going to have is taking out a number of trees to make room for it and to clear the area around it. I don't want to have a problem in the future with no light getting down to it. Basically, the roof won't survive long enough then, because it doesn't get clear sunshine otherwise.
Any other improvements planned at this time?
No.
And all other setbacks will be met?
Yes.
Will you be able to utilize the existing septic system?
Yes. The existing septic system was put in a year after we bought it, so about 96. We're getting it checked as we normally do every couple of years. Our use up there is probably, say, 15 times a year. It's seasonal, and summer is all we've been able to use the cottage, so it's very little use. So hasn't been any problem with it. It was built for a 2-bedroom, and he said, sure, it could withstand 3. Not that we're building a 2-bedroom, but usually when we have anybody there, it's only during the holidays that you'll have family up, that 4th of July, and we try and have everybody we can so they can enjoy it. So,
have you considered any other options, such as a narrower home or turning the home? You've got a...
The current home is 24 by 22. So really what I'm looking for in getting 5 more feet out of it is really to make it usable. I tried to figure a different plan. I don't know if you saw the floor plan that I had in there. I'm not trying to make it over wide. I'm trying to make it fit and make it usable, I guess. Our current one, when we bought it, we had a kitchen we tore out and made a bathroom because we didn't have a bathroom. So we haven't had any really usable space for a kitchen. So we're trying to make it something good, but trying to shrink it down. I don't want to end up with, I don't want to call it a long, little, narrow house. So that's why the 28 or 29 I was looking at comes into play.
Have you considered revegetating the shoreline to ensure that the existing vegetation remains in place?
The shoreline, I guess that's something I didn't really consider because we're 125 feet away from the shoreline. And putting a silt fence, there's trees and brush and everything down that hill that won't be disturbed. That's going to withstand what's there.
You stated that the hardship and unique property is the narrow lot width. Is there anything else?
It's a combination of the narrow lot and the way the properties were positioned originally on those facing the lake as opposed to the lot lines. So they don't run, nothing really ran parallel to the lots. So like I said, when you looked at it, the characteristics of that make it impossible to fit. If I faced it the same way, I'd never get within 15 feet unless it was probably about 12 feet wide. So what I'm trying to do is shape it the way it should fit the lot and still stay. On the one side, I'll be probably another 1.5 feet further than I am from the neighbor, and on the other side, I'll probably be closer now by about 3 feet, just the way that it's turned.
Okay. And if an approval were granted, is this a summer project or
Fall project.
fall?
Yeah, well, as soon as we can get the process rolling, it'll be first getting in, do some of the prelim work we could, and then after summer's over, and then can enjoy a couple months, if we get a summer, a summer left, and then we can start the process.
Okay. You've got a contractor selected and everything that,
We've talked to a couple. I'm actually a builder myself down in Racine, Kenosha, so I may be bringing some of my guys up, depending who's willing to come the distance. But I'll be using some of them up here as well.
any other committee questions?
Do you have an assessment of the siding? Is it asbestos?
I haven't got that assessment done yet. I'll find that out.
Because of the proximity of the neighbors, it would be important that that was handled properly.
Yes.
In accordance with that. Tough site.
Yeah, it is. You look at what's there, and it's a unique site, and that's part of the issue. I think when we bought it, the person had owned both of those properties at one time. She was 90-some years old when we bought it, and she must have owned them and then split it up.
Not
As
knowing
opposed
where
to
the house
keeping-
was exactly, do you anticipate the possibility of retaining walls being needed at the walkout at all?
You can basically have, when you do the foundation, the actual concrete foundation will actually wrap the corner
As you are
before you
planning
come
to do
in,
that?
which is going to do some of that as well. It's going to retain, do we need to bring it on the other sides? Possibly. Seeing what's there for vegetation, though, it really hasn't been an issue. I know a few years back, we had a neighboring property, when they asphalted, they actually had a huge rut where the water flowed. We don't have that type of water flow because it's so sandy. Everything sort of
So you
absorbs
coming
along the
near
way.
enough to the lake that you will be coming to daylight, you really won't need to retain it? As again, I didn't know we couldn't find the front stakes for the house, which is
Oh,
what
okay,
left it.
yeah.
They were not, it was not staked.
We were a little disappointed that it wasn't staked.
Oh, yeah, I think he probably couldn't, I talked to Pat, and by the time he probably got out there, I didn't know when you visited the site,
Monday.
and I think they probably went out yesterday, or Tuesday,
Some of the
rather.
things were
not-
difficult to assume, not knowing
Yeah.
where the house was gonna be.
Yeah, and if you saw where the staircase ended, you're still coming up, 15 feet from there is where the house porch would be. The
I'm not
covered
seeing the lot
deck.
lines, we went down that other set of steps.
Not the
Yeah, we
stone
didn't know,
ones.
looking at it right away, we didn't catch it in the paperwork that yours was the one that did the switchback.
Oh, the stone steps, those
Are the
were.
old ones on your property, or are they on the neighbor's?
They actually are on a neighbor's property, and those were actually the shared steps everything was shared on that property, from the outhouse to, the well pump and those stairs with the cable. Yeah,
Now,
the stairs going down are what I built.
I was the first one down those steps.
Yeah, the neighbor uses our
Barry
stairs.
followed me down. It was an experience.
Yeah.
went
The
down
neighbors
there.
don't even use
Somebody
those.
had to.
It's like, that's not safe to walk down those other ones.
Maybe get rid of the railing and the cable when you're doing that construction out
Yeah,
there.
that's all on their property, that's why I can talk, but I know they don't use them, so I'm like, once we built ours, I'm like, use our stairs, I don't want you trying to go down there. It's not safe.
Okay, any other committee questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Correspondence?
We had the email from DNR, and on July 8th, I attended the Deerfield Town Board meeting where they did discuss this as one of their items of business. And they noted that they are in favor of this application, and I told them I would pass this on to you, that there was no need for real correspondence. I was the correspondent. And that's it for correspondence.
No one registered, staff comments?
Again, it's variance where we're looking for those three variance standards to be met. When the board visited the property, they noted that the proposed building site was not staked, and the lot line locations were kind of difficult to find, especially in the area of the proposed construction. They also noted that the old well pit appeared to be dangerous and possibly not in compliance with current well codes related to abandonment of wells. And finally, they noted that there were some small lakeside decks associated with the boathouse that do not appear to be in compliance with current zoning regulations. One other question that the board had when we were out there was about the neighboring property to the east. And I called and didn't get the right information. I did check it when we get back. And those people had a variance in 2000 under the rules that were in place then to exceed 50% of the value. And as far as I can tell from their site plan, because we didn't have an exact location, they're about 5 feet off your east lot line. So that's the distance they are there. That's it.
Okay. If there's no other committee questions, that closes the public hearing for the Board of Adjustments. We'll go right into our business meeting, at which time we will vote on the applications tonight. Call the meeting to order. Roll call will show everyone present. Need a motion to approve the agenda as printed.